Cool.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Tad Bradley, along with my colleague Mark Sasson from the Cucini Collection. We are the North American sales representatives for Remote Latin America. And I'm joined today by the founder of Remote, Roberto Bieltzman, along with his colleague Luisa, who handles trade relations in North America, as well as a panel of past remoters who we're going to get to in a little bit. We'll introduce Kelly and Krisny a little bit later. But just a few housekeeping items. We are recording this webinar, so if you have to step away or if you want to share it with a colleague who you think could be a great candidate for remote in 2025, you'll find it on our YouTube channel after this event. We will send it out to everyone who registered. The link you'll receive. And if you have questions, just pop them into the chat. Mark or I will be fielding those, and we'll try to answer them throughout the presentation or at the end of the presentation today. Now, before we get to introducing Roberto and Luisa, I do want to show you a few highlights from the most recent remote event in Puyehue, Chile, in the Lakes District. Mark and I, Luisa, Roberto, Kelly, and Krisny all just returned from Puyehue. But just to give you a sense of what remote is about, this video will really give that vibe of what makes remote so special and unique. So without further ado, we'll do that, and then we'll introduce the remoters from Brazil. But first, here is Puyehue Remote 2024. So as you can see, this is not your typical trade show. Very few pictures of people sitting in meetings and more pictures of people out doing things and experiencing the place where the event is held. You may have seen Mark jamming at a karaoke jam session one evening as well in there. So remote is very, very unique, and we're going to get into what makes it unique. But first, I do want to introduce Roberto and Luisa, who are coming to us from various parts of Brazil. Roberto is the founder of Remote, and Luisa is new to the team as of this past June or July, and she is your first point of contact for as a buyer in any questions that you may have about remote, and she's your go-to person. So Roberto, I'm going to introduce you first. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and remote and the 2025 events.
Hello, everybody. Very nice to meet you all. Thank you very much for your time and for your effort on being here. Welcome. We're very excited to probably meet you in next year in May or October. Just a quick update on. I'm Roberto Bieltzman from Remote. I'm one of the Remote founders, and Remote is going to its 9th edition next year. So We are very, very happy with the way and trying to do all the improvements we can do on the way. Just a quick context. In the last 3 years, considering Cafayate in 2022, Cuenca 23, and Puyehue this year in Chile 24, we have a lot of great buyers that we would love to welcome, but we didn't have enough space. And we have to do a rotation between one event and the other because we are a very small and intimate event. So as the suppliers are 70 or 80% the same, we have to do some rotation, especially from the buyers. So a lot of good buyers couldn't be invited for 1 or 2 years inclusively, just because we have to do this rotation. And also from the suppliers, I mean the hotels and a little bit of DMCs, we already had a big waiting list, people that was willing to participate, and we also didn't have space for them because of our limit of size. So instead of doing a bigger event, what is against our mission to do an intimate and very well curated event, we decided to do 2 editions that Luisa will talk a little bit more later on, and keep the format. So the events are gonna be pretty much the same, with the same curatorship of suppliers, of buyers, of places, of content. So we already have at least 30 or 35 exhibitors that never participated before. So it's a good achievement considering our new strategy of not growing but doing 2 events. And the most important part of this is that we will have the chance to welcome much more buyers than the previous years. And so we could put together a great group of buyers considering the 2 events and not having to put you on hold for 1 or 2 years. So this is very important for us, and we are very happy to have more opportunities for you to choose, for you to participate. So I think this is the most important thing. The last thing is that the event is where everyone meets everyone. That's the main advantage of having an intimate event. And you all have the feeling of a community, of exploring a remote destination that, in our vision, generates much stronger connections and especially a lot of good business. So welcome again. Thank you very much for being here. And Luisa, would you like to present yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Luisa. And as Tad said, I'm handling all buyer relations. We might have been in touch already, but if not, as I said, just feel free to reach out. Any extra information you need anytime, just let me know. Thank you for being here, for taking the time to get to know a little bit more about remote. And we hope to see you in 2025. I'll leave Mark to tell you all the details about the event. Sorry, Tad.
Thanks, Louisa. We'll get to Mark too. He's not gonna get out of here without having to say something. Thanks, Roberto. Thanks, Louisa.
Just one thing, I will put on the chat here my email and Luisa's email. So besides Tad and Mark, you can always reach us directly whenever you need.
Thank you, Roberto. That's perfect. And as you heard, Remote has gone now to 2 events in 2025 because of the success of this incredible formula. What makes Remote so unique is, number one, the fact that it is in remote places. It's small and intimate, a maximum of 200 participants between suppliers and buyers. And then the formula here of morning meetings. So we're not going to let you get away without having to pay a little bit of a toll, which is having your speed dating meetings, which of course you're all used to at various trade events. But instead of having those speed dating meetings last throughout the day, in the afternoons, we let our participants get out and explore the remote place that they're visiting, and then to connect with other buyers as well as suppliers in a more unique way, in a different way, aside from just being across the table from the other person, actually getting out and making ice cream as Mark is doing in that great hairnet over there, or mountain biking or snowshoeing as we did in Puyehue. or heading to the spa. It's one of the few shows where they encourage you. It's actually part of the requirements is to go to the spa, as was the case at the Puyehue Wellness Resort where we were in October. So those afternoon experiences are really one of the very special parts about remote that gives you that chance to make connections with people in a different and unique way. And then the content is fantastic and really inspiring. We have seeds and talks for people that are both within the remote community, both buyers and suppliers can apply to talk about a topic that they find inspiring, unique, informational. And then remote brings in other speakers from outside the tourism community, or that might be tangential to the tourism community, to talk about a specific topic that, again, is meant to be inspirational, educational, and exciting and useful for those attendees in their business, something they can put into practice themselves. And yes, we don't get away without having some social events as well. Of course, Cucini has sponsored a cocktail event the last couple of years, which is always a fun evening. This year, there was a jam session, as you can see. I mentioned that in the video. There's Mark and some of the other folks getting ready to jam on guitars. We turned into a karaoke session as well. So, of course, we also have the opportunity to connect with people in the evenings at various social events. But it really is a different experience than you would have at most trade shows. You're never going to see the inside of a conference center. There's no fluorescent lights here. At every remote, you're in very unique places where the meetings are not in conference rooms. They're in beautiful old boutique buildings, or in this case, last year at this heritage wellness resort in the very remote lakes districts of Chile. So who are the remoters? As I mentioned, maximum of 200 participants between the buyers and the suppliers. So as Roberta said, you really can meet everyone, and that happens almost every remote. And we carefully select both travel designers and exhibitors from throughout Latin America. The exhibitors are 70% of them are lodgings, either hotels or boutique properties or boats from throughout Latin America. Generally speaking, they're smaller, independent, owner-operated properties and boats, really with a focus on the high-end experiential luxury in Latin America. Also with a focus on sustainable tourism and really providing positive social impact to the communities and to the destinations where they are. And then 30% are DMCs. So we have DMCs from throughout Latin America, as well as, of course, from the destination where the event is being held. And so you have a chance to both connect with both properties, boats, as well as DMCs throughout the region. But of course, it is 100% focused on Latin America. And then for travel designers, that's why hopefully all of you are here today. We are looking for travel designers who do have a specialization in Latin America, or at the very least are looking to grow their Latin American business, creativity, innovation, interest in these more remote off the beaten path destinations, not just selling, fly and flop kind of holidays, but really tailor-made unique experiences in remote places in Latin America. Also focused on sustainability and respect for local culture, community-based tourism, and for travelers that, they have guests that really are looking to be transformed by their experiences in Latin America. So speaking of who do we look for in travel designers, we have two with us today. I want to introduce, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute so we can see them. I would like to introduce Kelly Carlin, who's the product development manager from Adventure Life based in Missoula, Montana. And Krisney Lane, who is a luxury travel advisor and owner of Mosaic Safaris, an affiliate of Departure Lounge. She's down in Austin, Texas, where it's a lot warmer than Missoula or Seattle or Toronto, where Mark is. So Krisney and Kelly, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm going to just ask you a couple of questions and let's give us your thoughts on your experiences at Remote. You both attended Puyehue last year. Can you tell us a little bit about the unique format? As I mentioned, the meetings in the morning, experiences in the afternoon. What was that like for you? And how did that create opportunities for new connections or for connecting with suppliers or other buyers in different ways than your traditional trade show? Kelly, I'll start with you if you can give us your thoughts.
Sure. Thanks, Tad. I loved the format. I've attended many travel shows and, you always have your speed dating back-to-back meetings throughout the entire day. The way remote is set up, it allowed for your brain to relax and process a bit in the afternoon when you get out and explore and experience the remote location that you're actually in. It just allows for a bit more of an organic connection with those suppliers and also the opportunity to bounce ideas with other buyers who are like-minded. So it really helps process everything, all the intake that you are experiencing in the show. And like you said, I don't very often have the opportunity to have a business meeting in a hot spring. So
That is very true, right? Puyehue offered that opportunity. And I like how you said it gives you a chance to have a brain break as well. When you're doing those 12-minute meetings back to back to back all day, every day, by the end of 2 days, you've pretty much lost the ability to retain information.
yeah.
So, Krisni, can you tell us about your experience in Puyehue?
Again, I also absolutely loved the format. I've been to a lot of different trade shows around the world that are heavily focused on those speed dating meetings. At the end of it, you just, you're exhausted. Your brain is like, have I learned anything? What I loved about it was this unique opportunity to connect throughout the day with a variety of different experiences. So yes, the meetings are very important, those one-on-one meetings, but then you go from there to having a genuine experience, whether it's kayaking or doing the cultural experiences or doing in this case, the amazing hot springs. And you're meeting other buyers and other suppliers, but in this incredible environment that allows for a different, unique conversation and sharing of ideas. Then you go into the seeds and talks, and everybody is listening, we're learning, and then those conversations go on as debates and discussions throughout dinner, throughout the happy hour, later. So I feel like we were all learning so much more from each other, even in the social moments. We were still talking about what we had heard or what we had experienced that day. So that unique variety of experiences in one day, all these different ways to connect, was something I'd never experienced before. And I think it's very powerful. And it has certainly helped me to, strengthen my relationships with people that I met there, because you have something shared that's different than just a meeting.
Well said. I love that thread of connection that happens throughout the day and throughout the week. And Krisni, the other unique thing about remote is the fact that we are in very remote places. We're not meeting in conference rooms. There's no fluorescent lights here. And it gives you an opportunity to really get a sense of place and to learn about the destination that you're visiting for that week. How did that work for you with Puyehue? You had afternoons to explore, you had time pre and post as well, but just in that week that we're in Puyehue, did you really get a feel for what the Lakes District, what Puyehue is all about?
Absolutely. And I think that's, going to such a remote location in Chile, for me, the very first time that I've been to Chile. So everything that I experienced was new for me. The Lakes District is so beautiful and offers so many diverse experiences. I think we saw that with the variety of things we could choose from in the afternoons to participate in. And the fact that we all, traveled there by planes or, and buses and planes, trains, and automobiles, it gives you a cohesion of all being in this very unique remote location together. So we're all sharing that. We're learning about the area. Absolutely. It has, just so much to offer. So it was a great sense of community that came out of that. We were sharing, as I had said, all these experiences throughout the day. But I absolutely think that it's one of the things that makes remote so unique, is that you get to go to these off the beaten path destinations. You all get there somehow. People had interesting ways of arriving, and then you get to share these incredible experiences together. So it's very powerful. And I think, again, very different from what anybody else is doing out there in the marketplace in terms of experiential travel, networking, or shows.
Thank you, Krisni. Spot on, I think. And Kelly, we do have to talk a little bit about business as well. It's not all fun at remote, although most of it is. But the business meetings are pretty important in the morning. And obviously, we want to find the best experiential luxury suppliers, exhibitors in Latin America. And I think Remote has done an amazing job of curating truly the best of the best in Latin America. But you're a buyer. you're a very experienced buyer. You're a product manager. What was your take on the quality of the exhibitors? Did you meet new people, meet new properties, and did you find you had an opportunity to strengthen relationships with existing partners? Tell us about the exhibitors and your experience.
Yeah, first of all, I have to say the remote team does an incredible job pre-curating. So I already knew going into this that every meeting I had was going to be beneficial to both parties. And I think we had some really great discussions in those 12-minute speed dating moments, because I already knew this was somebody I wanted to talk to and somebody I wanted to pull information from and connect with right there. I had the fortune to reconnect with a number of our current partners there who I hadn't spoken with in a while. It was a great way to start the show for me. A lot of those happened on day one. And then from there, the next couple of days of meetings were really productive meetings with properties that I had been eyeing that I haven't had a chance to connect with yet, and new partners, new potential partners in destinations we already work in, as well as new destinations altogether. So I had a really, really great experience. I have incredible trust in the remote team. I think their curating is really spot on for the buyers that they are targeting at this show.
Thanks, Kelly. And given that and the experiences you had, the the suppliers that you met, Kelly, who would you say is the right fit for remote from the buyer side? What kind of travel company or a kind of travel advisor would be the right remoter for future events?
The Right Remoter. I think the Right Remoter is an outbound travel company looking for high quality and high touch partners in remote, off the beaten path destinations for tailor-made travel. So a company that's looking for sustainable operators or operators that look at sustainable practices and how they're giving back to the community. And for buyers who want to feel confident that the supplier will provide an immersive and cultural trip, but also provide a unique or high level of accommodation. So these are for buyers who are not looking for cookie cutter suppliers or your generic DMCs. This is for a buyer who is looking for something unique and different and off the beaten path.
Yeah, well said. And Krisny, anything to add? I'll give you the last word. Same thing. Who would you recruit to attend remote from the buyer side?
I do. I mean, 100% everything that Kelly just said. And I think in addition, it's buyers who are already selling curated, tailor-made travel, nothing, just cookie cutter out of the box. If they aren't specialists already in Latin America, perhaps they're coming from an environment for selling Africa, Australia, New Zealand, other destinations like that are heavily, nature, landscape, culture, community, giving back, those kinds of areas that kind of tend to mirror what we would be doing then in Latin America in the same zone as that, I think. So selling adventure travel, but that's connected to nature, people, community. Yeah.
Thank you both. And I think it's a great point, Krisny, is that we do look for specialization in Latin America, and many of the buyers that come are specialists, but you don't necessarily have to be. That doesn't have to be the lion's share of your business yet. It has to be an interest. And if you have other destinations, like you say, in Africa in particular, maybe South Pacific, where there is a crossover in terms of a similar type of guest and type of trip, we're certainly open to having you attend. So Krisny, Kelly, we really appreciate your time today and giving us more of your thoughts and from your experience at Puyehue. So thank you very, very much.
Thank
you.
you.
We hope to see you next year as well. All right, so we're going to jump in. Speaking of next year, I'm going to reshare my screen here, and we're going to talk about...
Can I just say just one more thing?
Absolutely.
Before we start, I'm just listening to these great testimonials. Thank you very much. It's very important to hear that. But many people ask us if we are like a luxury travel show. Some others ask if we are adventure travel show, and I think we can say we are a bit of each. So we are very focused on excellent products and especially excellent lodgings. We have very high-end products in most of the places. In other places, we have mid to high, but very good ones. But most important than that, it's the best option you can find at the region. So I think this is very important, especially when you're talking about such an important market as US, that people care a lot about high-end facilities and properties. So I think this is important. And just one more quick point is that as we have 2 events next year and we are having 5% in average smaller events in purpose, we decided to do like 5% smaller. We'll have the chance to add 1 or 2 minutes in each meeting. So instead of 12, you're going to have 13 or maybe 14. That's not a promise, but 13 it is. So it's going to be less speed meetings, a little, you can do a little bit more calmly.
That's great news. I think that may be the best news for the buyers and the suppliers in particular, Roberto. So that's breaking news for all of us here. Thanks for that heads up, Roberto. That is, even 1 minute would make a difference, because that dinger comes quicker than you ever expect. All right, so 2025, we're going to start off with a quick video to show you a little bit more about the 2 amazing destinations that we have next year: Antigua, Guatemala in May, and Chapada dos Veadeiros in Brazil in October. And then Luisa is going to tell us a bit more about each. And in fact, the entire remote team just returned from Antigua in the last couple of days, so they have some fresh experiences to relay. And I know I promised 40 minutes max. We have 10 minutes left, team, so let's bring it home in 10 minutes. Here we go.
In May, we invite you to discover the mesmerizing beauty of Antigua, Guatemala. Its vibrant culture, historic architecture, and colorful markets brimming with local arts and crafts. Antigua is ready to enchant everyone with its rich history and unexpected surrounding natural landscapes. Later in the year, our adventure continues in October with an encounter in the heart of the Brazilian savanna. Chapada dos Veadeiros in the state of Goiás is a mystical place that combines folk legends, surprising natural landscapes, and captivating people. Choose the best fit for you and apply.
Okay, Luisa, tell us about Antigua and about Chapada dos Veadeiros.
Sure. So as Tad said, we just returned from Antigua, and personally, I'm very impressed. I fell in love with the place. It's a charming colonial city. It's just a short drive from Guatemala City's international airport. And it's, I mean, all you can expect from colonial city. Lots of vibrant colors, cobblestone streets, a lot of history. And the thing is that you can really feel and see the true taste of Guatemalan culture. Like the women's with their traditional vests is impressive. And cherry on top, obviously, is the volcanoes and a backdrop. So stunning views from pretty much anywhere. And besides the destination itself, that's incredible. It's just a great jumping off point to explore the rest of the country as well. So there's Lake Atitlan, there's Tikal, the ruins up north. And well, it's super close to other Central American destinations, Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico. So if something that you're keen on exploring, that would be a good starting point. And Chapada dos Veadeiros in Brazil, it's definitely a hidden gem, and it's about 3 hours away from Brazilian International Airport. It's just very unique rock formations. There's stunning waterfalls. There's actually a mystical side to it. So lots of crystals around. There's this wellness appeal to the place. And it also has a very strong cultural side. So it's the right place to know a bit more about like Afro-Brazilian heritage. It's Chapada dos Veadeiros is home to the largest quilombo in Brazil. So there's a bit of everything. And if you're keen on exploring the rest of the country as well, as you know, Brazil's huge, and Chapada dos Veadeiros is quite central. So from Brasilia, up to a 2-hour flight, you can get to pretty much anywhere from the Amazon, the Northeast, go to São Paulo, the south of Brazil. So lots of things to do.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Be my first time to Brazil as well, to see a really, really unique off the beaten path place there. Mark, I'm going to kick it over to you to tell us a little bit more about what you can expect as a buyer at our events in 2025.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. In terms of inclusion, almost everything is included. The show, you've got we got you covered for your 4 nights accommodations, which I'll talk to in a little bit. All your meals and drinks, like lots of drinks, so be prepared for that. Except for one of the dinners, I think this time around we want to leave one of the nights open. So if there are other suppliers that want to have their own smaller events or take a night off, I think that's always appreciated on both sides. So we have that one night off. We include the outdoor and cultural activities in the afternoon, as well as shuttle services to get you from the closest airport to the venue. So that's always included in terms of travel. And on the event side, you get about 45 plus pre-scheduled meetings. So we've got a really good scheduling system, although, the show is so small that you're almost guaranteed you're going to see everybody at the event. You get your badge, you get entrance to all the talks and the seed talks in the evenings, as well as the parties and cocktail events for the show. So it's as inclusive as it can. And here's just a good snapshot of what the day looks like. So day 1 is generally your arrival day. So we don't typically do anything there with the exception of the opening ceremony and the welcome dinner, just to introduce you to the crew and how it goes. And that's when you pick up the badge and everything. And then days 2, 3, and 4 are more or less the same. You will have your business meetings in the morning. Everyone has lunch together. And then after lunch, you head out to your outdoor and cultural activities in the afternoon. And then you head back to your hotel. So you freshen up. After that, you generally will do the remote talks and the seeds for about an hour. And then we head over to dinner and the cocktails at the end of the evening. So that's more or less the same up until, day 4, where it's more of a bigger farewell ceremony and party at the end. And then on day 5, almost always everyone is struggling to wake up early in the morning after that big party, and we shuttle you guys back to the airport or wherever you're going to on your next part of the journey, right? And in terms of the commitment and the investment, it's different in both events. So starting off in Antigua in May, the only thing that we're really asked for is a commitment fee that covers the rooms that you're going to be staying in. So you can see there the price for a standard twin, that's $250, and that's for the entire length of the show, and that's not per night. So this $250 commitment fee. Then you move up to your standard single. Probably the most coveted rooms are your superior single. So I would recommend, especially for Guatemala, sign up as soon as you can and make sure if you're interested in that single superior room, just let us know right away, because those go by pretty quick. And then in Brazil, in Chapada dos Veadeiros, we have slightly more variety in terms of rooming categories. So we have $150 for your standard twin, which is sharing. Standard single is $300. We also have a category called superior twin, which is sharing for $250. And then the superior single is just slightly less than Guatemala. That comes in at $550. The great thing about Brazil is we do offer an early bird air credit, and this is kind of essential to offset a little bit of your costs to go to the show. So we're offering a $500 air credit that you can get after the event, and that's if you confirm before Valentine's Day, February 14th, right? So that's something. What we'll do, Remote will actually pay that to you after the event. Okay, so and just one thing there, Tad, if you just kind of go back a little bit, the difference between the superior and the standard really will be more so on the slightly more higher end on the superior, and sometimes the proximity to the headquarters is a little bit closer. So for those that really want to be there next to where the show is happening, I would recommend you book the superior rooms, because those go by pretty fast. Okay. And something to maybe entice you as well, there are quite a bit of pre and post FAMs happening. They're all done by the DMCs or your local experts, as well as your hotels and lodges. So you can actually see it. We've got this PDF document that we'll resend to you guys, and these are the operators that are running the FAM trip. So we have it on the DMC side as well as from the lodging. With these, remote doesn't get too involved in that one. You'd actually just have to contact the suppliers directly. Their contact information is there, because it's all subject to their availability, and they're the ones that's running it. We're just helping them promote these FAM trips, and they're all really, really amazing. I'm actually hosting one myself in Guatemala. I'm hosting the pre and post FAM in Guatemala with Maya Trails, which is our Cassini client. And then lastly, this is, I think, our last slide here, how to apply. You would have gotten an email from us a while ago, but we'll make sure to resend it, or you can go to this website, remote.la/apply-travel-designer. So you can find that on the remote website, and it will ask you to apply and just tell us a little bit about yourself. If you're in this webinar, we know you already. So we're just going to give you guys the green light, because we've met a lot of you guys that's on this webinar. But generally, once you hit your application, Louisa will be in touch with you to explain what the next processes are. Okay?
Thanks, Mark. And Louisa just popped that link into the chat as well, so you can grab that now if you'd all like. We don't have any other questions, so I'm assuming you all understand what this event is about. This is a great example. This is the kind of enthusiasm that Remote brings out in people. This is our Cassini crew. We not only are we the North American reps for Remote, but we actually really truly believe in this event. Before we were Remote reps, we were sponsors of the event way back to 2019 in Barichara, and we continue to sponsor the event as our Latin American portfolio. So yes, we're the Remote reps, but we also truly are believers in this show being the best Latin America conference out there. And again, it's not really a conference, it's an immersion event. As you can see from our presentation today, from what Kelly and Krisny talked about their experience, you really are immersed in these amazing destinations, and the way to connect with both buyers and suppliers is quite different and quite more experiential, and I think really does create more long-term relationships than your typical trade show. Any last words from Louisa or Roberto before we sign off for the day?
I have one last thing to add. If you're considering Guatemala, that's the golden tip. Just make sure you leave space in your luggage. If you're into handmade crafts, you're gonna need it. You're gonna regret taking all your carry-on. So make sure you have extra space.
That's a great tip, Louisa, spot on. And as Mark alluded to earlier, if you are interested in Guatemala in May, now is the time to sign up, especially if you want one of those superior single rooms, because those are going quickly, and we do have even more limited space than in years past, because as Roberto said, these events are slightly smaller than our single events in years past. So please do get in touch with us ASAP, fill out that application form if you are keen to attend in May. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you to Louisa and Roberto for their time down in Brazil. And a really special thanks to Kelly and Krisny for taking the time to talk about your experience at Remote. We really, really appreciate it. We're looking forward to hopefully seeing many of you in either Antigua or in Chapada dos Veadeiros next year. And have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Dad.
Thank you very much. Nice seeing you.